Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Abroad Show. Monday, the 17th of April, 2023. It's me and Pommy after a loss, a 10-goal loss, just the way it used to be, Pommy.
Vintage commentary. This is where we do our best work. Terry's down in the doldrums chat, but I remember the days that we were in our bunker taking shells. We're veterans at this, mate. We've seen this before.
Yes, we have seen this before. We never want to see this again. I don't know. What about you? I don't ever want to see that again. But look, tonight will be the way in which we just get over it and move on. Because we have to move on. There's a whole season ahead of us.
You can sit here and piss and moan about it, but you know what? 6 days' time, these boys better be over it now. Do you know what I mean? And big game. Do you know what I mean? Against St Kilda. There's a few clips around me saying this is St Kilda's grand final from a couple of years ago. So for my sake, we better win this one because I reckon that might get get brought back. I might be echoing.
Yeah,
I can't be echoing anymore.
I can hear myself a little bit.
There you are. You won't hear me now.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap round 5 up ASAP. We're going to get to it. We're going to start with the fan cams compilation. And then we're going to get onto the VFL. We're going to get onto some news. We're going to look at some trends. We're going to, we've got, 5 weeks of football behind us. We can look at things that are starting to emerge and discuss things and then go from there. But before I start with the fan cam compilation, I just want to send out some love and some condolences to the Tilkarides family and to Daniel from the Almost Blues Brothers, his family as well, who had some passings over the weekend. So we send our love and thoughts with them. We look forward to having Dan back with the Blues Brothers sooner rather than later, but just sending our thoughts with them at this point.
Massive love to you guys. Sorry for your loss.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to stay talking about round 5 for now. This is the fan cams compilation. Stand by. Fuck. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the round 5 fan cams. After the Adelaide Crows absolutely demolish the Carlton Football Club.
I mean, you can't put lipstick on a cow and call it your partner, can you? And that's what it feels. Do you know what I mean? That was from the opening bounce. A calf injury in the warm-up. Do you know what I mean? Something fell off, and when the boys came out like that, like them goals, man, that first quarter.
First quarter, and in particular the last quarter, just the way that we finished, really, really bad. So hopefully we can fix it for next week. I'm not losing faith in it yet. I'm always going to be an optimist. I still think we're going to be okay, but a lot of work to do still.
We just need to clean up that centre clearance work, and yes, having Sam Walsh back, and didn't he play? He's probably one of our shining lights, to be fair. Hopefully next week they work on that, and hopefully Pito's okay. But look, huge shout out to those in the cheer squad and to those supporters that actually made the trip to Adelaide.
I'm saying he's carried that all week, and like they did a couple of weeks ago with Kennedy, they pulled him out before the game, where this time they've sent him out there and he's obviously felt a tight calf and they've pulled him out 8 minutes before the game.
Just fucking, it's bananas. It's fucked up, mate. And just about I don't think people, you know how we always have this argument every week, especially the last 3 weeks, where people are like, oh, we don't need to smash a team. You just have to bank the wins. You have to bank the wins. No matter how you win. I don't believe that, mate.
But he was embarrassed tonight by Jordan Dawson, and he wasn't alone. We didn't have a single winner on the ground.
No.
we're completely outworked, out-hunted. You're having Josh Rochelle outbody Tom DeConing. With no disrespect to Josh, he's fantastic, and no disrespect to Adelaide, they were superb.
You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute. You need to unmute yourself, mate. You've got to unmute yourself. You're on mute.
Oh, come on, Terry. Jesus Christ, mate. Yeah. That ending with you and your Val, epic. Like that's probably my favourite moment of Thursday night, Tez. So cheers for that.
Bless you, Val. It was actually very symbolic of everything. Yeah, not a good night. I think the shock factor really just threw me a bit. I'm fine losing. I have no issue losing, but 10 goal losses, nah, it's unacceptable, mate. No more. Like there has to be a point where it's like no more of them. How many more are we going to sit through? You know?
Oh, it's never good, is it? I mean, it's never good. I don't know. I think I don't know. I always try and draw inspiration from somewhere to think like, what is the process? Like, what is the process? Like, I've done this for a long time with you, Terry, and I know for views and clicks, it's easy if you just go mental, call everyone shit, call them all wankers, burn the club down, cause chaos. That works. I always think, I like talking about him. I always think about my pop, and I remember asking my pop once when I was really young, what's the lowest you've ever felt in your life, and trying to get some understanding when I was a teenager. And I remember him telling me this story of coming back from Dunkirk and everyone buying him a beer and calling him a hero. But from his point of view, it was a failure. They'd retreated. They fled. They were scared of the Nazis and they ran away to fight another day. And everyone buying him a beer, calling him a hero, his old man patting him on the back and him saying he felt like a loser. He felt like a coward. The words I remember him using, he felt like a conscientious objector, someone who refused to go to the war. And I think like this, kind of understanding what he felt, that he could have given up and thought, that's it, we're never going to win. Am I going to win? But him and 1,000 millions of people said, no. We will fight another day. We will come back. And I know that might be a big thing, but I always constitute sport as warfare. Do you know what I mean? We've lost a horrific defeat. Do you know what I mean? But now it's how we dust ourselves off. And in the words of Churchill, once more into the breach, dear friends, once more. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can sit here and be biscuit-arsed and have a cry about it. But I'll tell you what, everyone who is like, oh, it's over, it's doomsday, let's all give up. If the boys give up on Sunday, are you going to come onto this show and go, oh, it's all right, I'm over it, who gives a fuck? Do you know what I mean? I'm over it, fuck the club. No, you're going to come on this show and scream and shout and demand more. So, okay, we've taken our medicine. Statistically, dog shit. Everything you could think about, dog shit. But it's how they respond. And let's make sure now they don't fucking need another arse kicking to win another game. They've had their arse kicking. Now they go into battle with us behind them, and they've got to go out and beat St Kilda somehow.
Yeah, no, spot on. One game cannot define the season yet. We will get to the end of August and we will have the entire season to judge everything on, because let's just not forget, halfway through last year, we had all made finals tickets a priority. We had all made conclusions and we saw how that turned out. So yeah, let's be honest. A lot of conversation around the last 5 rounds. Some of the conversation around the last 5 rounds has been around, there's just a little something we're just not totally clean with. So I guess we'll find out what round 5 was and if it was an aberration or if it's cause for more concern internally this week and really for the rest of the season. They just didn't get the job done anywhere near to the level that we want them to and that they would hopefully want from themselves. I read a tweet somewhere, apologies, I don't remember who it was, I just read the tweet, and they said we were playing like it was round 5 and Adelaide were playing like it was a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Fair.
And let's be honest, from a tactical point of view, if the powers that would be would allow me to coach an AFL club and I was playing Carlton, I would say that the easiest way to beat this football club is ask the question. Ask the question. You probably can't beat us up around the ball. We're bigger bodied. You probably can't at times outwill us, but the best way to do this is to ask us the question multiple times. And if you ask us enough questions, eventually we do it for you. We splinter. We fall back behind the ball. You saw David King today and Carlton fans praise him, which makes me deeply sick as a human being. How you can praise that man after he ripped apart this great football club last year is beyond me. But this week he's on about Carlton's one wood has disappeared and it's no good to them. When this time last year he was saying, well, Carlton can't score from any other way than centre clearance. Fuck them, they're useless. Now he's saying it's our weakness that we're finding new ways to score. Let's be honest, our midfield is our heart and soul of this football club. It's not a player, it's not a surname, it's not history. Every football club's beating heart is your midfield. And at the moment, this midfield isn't on. But let's look at this. Let's look at facts. This midfield isn't fit. Kennedy looked a shell of himself yesterday. There's no way he was fit. Hewitt is playing one-handed. And you know what annoys me is I listened to Dimmer and I listened to Goodwin pre-game, and Goodwin was brilliant about Ben Brown, was really honest, saying that the guy could play today. If it was round 18, he probably would play. However, round 5, there is nothing that benefits this club by him playing and us winning just this game on the back of him. It's a long way. It's a long season, and we'd rather get the 4 points later with a 100% fit side than take risks now and hurt ourselves at the back end. And they're the questions that we need to ask. Why are these players playing when it's obviously not there? And I want us to refrain from singling out players and bashing them and doing that. I think what the best way to do is try and think about this structurally. How do you fix what you've seen? Because let's be honest, from a structural standpoint, absolutely horrific. From a selection standpoint, absolutely horrific. From a cojones point of view, a step up point of view, horrific. We were bullied. We were beaten around the ball. Our one wood became our lob wedge. Everything that could go wrong went wrong from start to finish. And that is the biggest question I've got for this team to actually be a good side. You can fuck your percentage off and things like that because, you know, your percentage talk is the biggest nonsense in the world because you've got to win games for percentage to matter. And I'd rather us win by 20 and beat Adelaide than think, oh, you know what, next time we play Hawthorn, let's win by 100. These boys have still got to get off cab 1. That's winning games consistently. And round 5 is a massive, massive, massive blop on our radar at the moment.
Yeah. I understand the narrative of what we want to be, in the sense we want to be a team that eventually puts teams to the sword. And whether you believe we should be there right now or not is another discussion. But there's also the main discussion, which is where we are where we actually are. And that is not that team. We're not that team, especially in round 5 of this season. So, yeah. Those of you playing along at home, as we continue to talk about this game, give us 3 words to summarize Thursday night. And I'll get as many of them on screen as possible. Pommy, is it really like how much will continuity with the midfield help better that performance? And like what's the level of which you just let it go?
I think, you know what? I think the midfield at the moment, especially this week, Kennedy and Hewitt, you could tell that they weren't fit and firing. You can tell Hewitt, first 2 minutes, go back and watch the footage. He puts a hand on Dawson. Dawson breaks free, and behind him, he's holding his hand. So he's not 100% right. that screamed to me fear from the coaches, first of all. I think the fact that Hewitt and Kennedy played when they weren't up to it exposes Cripps, exposes Walsh. And for me, I think that says a lot about the mindset of the group. For me, I think Voss made safe selections there. Plowman, you can hang shit on Plowman all you want. Plowman shouldn't play. You know what I mean? Voss knows what he's getting. And as an intercept defender, I can't think of anyone worse on the planet to play as an intercept defender when you've trialled Kemp and Chincotta in VFL. I think at centre bounce, Voss was unwilling to change anything, considering that these players were injured. There was no floaters through there. And you saw that there was a clear mindset of tracking back and buying themselves time. And you saw what you got turned on about last year, Carlton's sexy little move. Do you remember it? Pitternet tap down to Cripps. Cripps passed to Hewitt. Hewitt was out the back, handballed it to Walsh, and we had all this free-flowing space. We weren't slow then because the ball moves faster than any mere mortal. What Carlton did was allow Adelaide to do that. They reacted. There was space in behind. The back line started to go too deep. The midfield. It's a combination of players, team selection, and coaching. And, you know, the biggest thing that underlines it, it's up here. These boys showed this weekend that they're serial losers, not as people, as actual professional sportsmen, losing. And it's ingrained, and it's the fear of losing, the ball movement. You know what I mean? The ball movement inside 50, that shitty little floaty ball into 2-on-2s, hoping Kerno and Mackay catch it. Then you watch Adelaide. They burst through. They hit the ball out in front, and they're asking their forwards to lead for me. They cut Carlton apart. That's a safe, lazy kick. That's a lazy kick. That's a feared of making a mistake. You saw in the back line as well. It's like hot potato. No one wants to take the game on. Wheatering's like, oh, shit, Young, you take the kick. Oh, Doc, oh, shit, Doc's not there. Who's going to take the kick? We'll give it to you, Cowan. Cowan booms it. These are all fear. That's all fear and a lack of onus. And what you saw was Dawson, Laird come in and say, you know what, fucking Carlton are wounded and we're going to kill them. And they killed them easy with ruthless basics. Anyone who says Adelaide were good has never seen other teams play. They were just sharp at the basics. And the basics were way too good for these boys.
Yeah. Well, just on the ball use and on the method, which Vossi talks about how it needs to improve. And he's been talking about it for, all season, even though we've won games. He's mentioned the word method. My question is, why are we at this point and we still don't have clean ball use going inside 50? Is it an instruction to just put the ball to where Harry and Charlie are, knowing that they're probably either going to mark it or halve the contest and that we play the percentages and we played in our favor? Is that actually our game plan? Or are we going against instruction and are we just not able to find men ahead of where we are? And I mean, I wasn't at the game, so I can't talk specifically around who was leading ahead of the ball. But I remember the North Melbourne game the week before, and I remember games prior to this season. There's not a lot of movement from our forwards ahead of the ball, dummy leads. There's not a lot of that. There's a lot of flat-footedness, and this is where my confusion has come to a point where I'm like, is this the instruction? Are we instructed to just put it on top of Harry and Charlie and then play the percentages, knowing that they're pretty good? They're most likely going to at least halve the contest or put it in our favor and allow us to play some form of predictable footy? Or is it something else?
For a man that is regarded as redeveloping Doggy's forward line in Ash Hansen, that was staple. Their staple was getting the ball as close to 55 and entering from there. The reason being, they deduced that their midfield wasn't crack kicks. They wanted the players out in space, and then they led up to them. If you watch Doggies at free flow under Hansen, and they still do it to this day, they delay their run. They delay their run until that kick is there, and then they run like mad rabbits, scattering, allowing that easy hit up. Bailey Smith has a whale of a time outside 55 because he's got three people running in space. I don't think it's structure. I don't think that's structure. I think if that is structure, I would question what the hell Ash Hansen's doing having a contract. If he's saying, "Tell you what, I want you to do, boys. 2 of you stay in 50 at overtime, and we'll just float it on you." If that's the game plan, we ain't going to win many games. However, watch Sydney last year when we played them. Go back and watch when Carlton were free flowing. It was the droves, and you saw that with Adelaide, the droves of men they get forward. Go and watch the second half of Adelaide. Jack Silvani, he's got a lot of hate from the Carlton fans for that kick out of bounds at 60. Look in front of him, though. No one's running past him. No one's running into 50. He's got 2 people to kick to. And he's surrounded by 6 Adelaide players, 4 of which have overlapped their opposite men. That's fear. Carlton don't want to get forward. You wonder why our backline has uncontested marks. You can't play man-on-man defence anymore. No team does. They play zones. The way to beat a zone is 2 ways. 1, you spread it, or 2, you flood it. And we flood it ourselves. Carlton average in that second quarter, 14 players inside 60. The zone can't work. They just allowed to get in each other's way. Fogarty had a whale of the time running in between 4 Carlton players and them looking at each other going, which one of us picks it up? Because the zone fails when you do that. So that is the thing. Short, sharp ball movement gets Carlton forward. And when they're scared, you saw it in... Go back and watch centre bounces. Go watch my review where we show you how it happens with the ball movement. Carlton don't do that anymore, so they help themselves. They go back and take the pressure off themselves. And unfortunately, bold is the way that Voss wants them to play, but they can't. Their inability to when they're pressured.
Yeah, no, spot on. Well, you mentioned the zone. That was interesting. There was a clear, for me anyway, there was a clear sign of a disjointedness communication-wise behind the ball. The amount of times Adelaide found a gap in our zone was alarming. And I mean, I don't think it's due to a lack of effort. I think it was due to a lack of synergy with that back 6. The McGovern situation, maybe we'll talk about it in a moment, but he's a laid out. I don't know how much they really knew of the level to which he was actually going to not play. There are some suggestions that they knew all along that he wouldn't play and whatever, but you lose him, you already lose Doc. Saad hurts himself at some point in the game, but don't know exactly where. Plowman comes in. Yep, he kind of knows the system, but nonetheless, 2 really senior players out of that team in round 5 in that back line, and unfortunately the rest of them weren't able to pick it up, which wasn't helped by the fact that our midfield allowed the entries that we allowed.
From covering the draft at length, I can say this with a degree of certainty. No one that's getting paid to play professional football can't play it.
Correct.
Varying degrees of skill, varying degrees of experience, but that backline is pretty fucking experienced. Wheaterin's no mug. Young's played some finals and played for a decent side. Saad has been there and done it. Do you know what I mean? These guys aren't fresh out of school, never seen sunlight. At the end of the day, you've got to do it. So, like, the facts are, when people talk about man-on-man, name a sport that plays man-on-man sport. Man-on-man defence, none. Why? Because it's slow, it's stagnant, and it's useless in transition. So the fact is, with zones is the way you've got to play. If you don't play zones in today's game, go and watch a game of round ball. Go and watch a game of netball. Go and watch anything that plays in a structured, rigid system versus the fluidness of a zonal system. What you've got to do is you've got to have your generals. Wheaterin a few times had his man kick goals on him, and it was very similar to Larkey when Larkey kicked goals on him, that it's not his fault, it's his fault because it's his man. But you go back and watch the footage, there's 2 people in his zone, one of them blocking. One of Fogarty's goals, Wheaterin was blocked by his own player who got lost, and he's like, and it blocks fish. That's where Wheaterin needs to be a man and a leader and go, piss off. If you want to help me, get up midfield, win the ball back. That is a big part of it for me. But you're right. You know what's amazing is I want chat to do me a favour. Name 5 players, and I'm going to be a hypocrite. You're allowed to say intent and effort. 5 players that you thought showed effort that game. And I guarantee the names we'll see will be Chera, Akers, Hollands, Walsh, and maybe Cowan. And what have all of them got in common? They're all fresh off the boat to our football club. They're not been here for a long time. They still have that urge to win. Problem is, 3 of them aren't anywhere near the leadership group or worthy of being in the leadership group. The names should be Cripps, Kerno, players like that. Do you know what I mean? Players that are rocks and granites of this club, Wheaterings, shouldn't be. Holland shouldn't be in that conversation. He's only played 5 games. He should be looking at Cripps for inspiration, looking at Wheatering for inspiration. Walsh has just come off back, has got back problems for nearly 6 months. He shouldn't be tackling Walsh. Walsh shouldn't have to tackle Cripps' man 20 metres off his own man. These are little things where you can see the vulnerability in this group. And it was said to me by someone we've played already. He was in their team meeting before we played. And the coach, I won't name him because I don't want him to get into trouble, but the coach did specifically say to his midfielders, we can't out-wrestle them. We can't out-football them. What we can do is ask them the question. And if you ask them the question enough, these boys are a fractured group and the rest will take care of itself. Keep asking the question. And they nearly beat us, just to let you know. They nearly beat us. They beat us for 2 quarters. That is a worry that coaches know. And that is something you see in these boys. And I'm afraid to say no coach in the world will fix that. That's on the playing group to gain some confidence in each other. And it's easy bullying North. It's easy bullying GWS. Adelaide, though, they're made a little bit tougher, them SA boys. Made a little bit tougher.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Especially when they're at home, and especially when it's an important occasion for them to do something pretty special in order to keep that gather round in Adelaide as well. I'm sure both Adelaide and Port Adelaide would have had some words spoken to them about how important it is to put a good showing on to make sure that gather round continues to be a success there. So, yeah. Do we give votes out? Do we give 3 2s and 1s? I guess we do, because we do it every week, and then we'll move on. Those of you playing along at home, give us your 3, your 2, and your 1. I can give you a 3 and a 2. The 1 is an issue.
I need to go back to look at my ratings. I haven't got Scooby. It's not like the show's the same every fucking week, Pommy. 3 Walsh, 2 Newman, 1 Cherub.
Yeah, all right. Sounds about right. Let's see what everybody else thinks. Hollands with 1 from Christian. Jimmy gave Charlie the 1. Angelo Gravina gave Walsh every vote. Fair enough. Akers gets a little mention in here. Michael Cheravolo gives Chera the 1. Great name. Pommy 3 votes for facial expressions.
Thank you, I think. Cheers, Sam.
3 votes from Cam for when the game ended. That's very good. That's very good. Okay. Pretty similar. So, all right, let's talk about one more thing. I guess storylines. Maybe this is less of a round 5 discussion and more of a high-level discussion. What, in your opinion, those of you playing at home and Pommy as well, what are some of the things front of mind right now when it comes to themes and issues that we need to address after 5 games?
Bar the Richmond game, their starts reek. Their starts reek of vulnerability, apprehension. Watched some great games this week where good teams put their foot down. Geelong, they came out under shit form. 1 win, and they dictated. They played their way from the opening bounce. They were like, nah, we're Geelong. You can call us slow, you can call us old. This is the way we play. Match it. You saw all the teams that won big this week, Brisbane, play their brand and play it shamelessly. The best game I watched this weekend, Collingwood versus St Kilda. Both sides came out there and showed zero respect. St Kilda, full credit to them, because the press weren't giving them a chance. The commentators were saying they were going to get battered, and they came in, and St Kilda played their unapologetic, basic ruthless basic game plan. They never gave up, and they asked a lot of questions of Collingwood and were unlucky in the end. So for me, I think that's amazing. And I know Daryl Boldcock, I can't believe I said that. Pom, sort yourself out. I know he's a St Kilda fan and he's mocking the Carlton fans, but he's spot on here. Every loose ball St Kilda had, they put their head over and got. Nothing is too hard. Nothing is too far. No one's too quick. That, for me, is a big thing that we need to learn to do, because Carlton, it's like playing St Kilda this week. They need that 60-point loss, but they need that in game too to perform. At the moment, they can't intrinsically motivate themselves. And you know what worries me a little bit is when Voss says, oh, the crowd made the difference. I think that's true. I think the crowd remind them sometimes that they are footballers, remind them that they're very good, that they can play good football. And they won't fully start to be any good till they start to believe that themselves. And that's what I'd ask Voss. Why were the 8 games last year we came out with no care and abandon? We came out and we played football. Why now suddenly do we play tentative and give ourselves work to do and then switch it on and hope it switches on? Because his game plan requires corridor kicks and dangerous kicks. And if you haven't got the heart to play it, Adelaide happens. And tell you what, Adelaide aren't the upper echelon. You do that to Collingwood. You do that to Geelong. You do that to Richmond. You do that to Melbourne. You do that to Brisbane. You'll be thankful for a 60-point loss.
So the first part of the year, I remember making comments around it felt like we were absorbing what was coming our way before reacting and answering, because, 4 quarters of football, you can't play ballistic for 4 quarters. And I still believe that. But in the end, it kind of caught us out because we haven't really brought that same intensity and that willingness to want to prove ourselves and get other teams on the back foot. And I'm still yet to make a decision as to whether that is us actually maturing and having more structure and having a little bit more emotional intelligence throughout games and not getting too caught up when it doesn't go our way, or whether there's just a mental block for us to be able to will ourselves in a contest and force the opposition to come and play our way and beat us in the way we want to play. Teams get up for Carlton. They love playing Carlton. And we haven't cracked that at all.
Well, I mean, of course you do. When you've won 16 flags, it does make you a target. But I mean, I would also say there's a lot of issues there with Carlton. Like, I saw Tony there mention Adelaide Oval. It's not mythical. Do you know what I mean? This is a real game. Grass is green. Mud is mud. Doesn't matter if it's in South Australia, the Antarctic, the Himalayas. Do you know what I mean? Like, Carlton going to Adelaide is no different to playing at the Marvel. It's no different to playing on Werribee. It's no different. It's a fucking football ground. Do you know what I mean? So what changes? Okay, the environment, you could argue, but if you're a professional, I'd say you should be able to play anywhere. Do you know what I mean? If you're a professional, yeah, okay, it might be a hostile atmosphere, but is Australian sporting grounds hostile? I don't think so. You know what I mean? I can take you to Millwall away. You'll see hostile. This is more like watching my nana have a debate with my auntie about if it's a crochet pattern. Do you know what I mean? So I'd say a big thing for Carlton is really understanding where they are, understanding what they are. And someone made a great comment here, roles. Like, let's play a game in chat. What's Fisher's job? What's Fisher's job in all this? He looks as lost as probably you do answering the question. It feels like when you watch Geelong, you can look at Bose and go, right, I get what Bose's job is there. Brad Close, I get what Brad Close's job is. Carlton at times have players where you're like, what? Why are you there? And it almost feels like TDK is a great example. His job is basically to be the legs of Pitternet. Do you know what I mean? Fisher, what is it? To run round with tattoos? Doesn't look like he's got an actual job. He doesn't tackle. He's not leading. Then you look at JSauce, apart from taking a mark out of 65, what's his job? And they're them big things because that's where you become safe. So working in training and development, what makes my staff feel safe is routine. The fact that they know what they do 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, from the day that they sign the contracts and they're trained. Familiarity creates success. I sometimes wonder what these jobs are. Kennedy moving to halfback. Do you know what I mean? What was that about? Do you know what I mean? It's this big thing. So, like, I'm not saying, Coda, that grounds don't give you an excuse, but at the start of this week, all I heard was Carlton can't win in Adelaide. Why? I mean, Carlton allergic to bariatric pressure, are they? You know what I mean? Is it a little bit dewy? Like, it's a fucking football ground. You know what I mean? I'm a former golfer. You should be able to, with planning, play golf, scratch, anywhere around the world. The only thing that stops you is your mind. Do you know what I mean? But the technique is the same. Do you know what I mean? If I played at Augusta, I'm not changing anything. I'm playing golf. So for me, that's a big thing there. There is always these excuses. And you know what? I had this rant. Terry, you've got me angry. I was going to be the calm one, right? The review show. This is the big thing. Fans are a reflection of the football club, right? This is fact. Remember, you all got Tiga job, right? The club do listen to you, but they're a reflection. The fear from Carlton going to Adelaide is fucking insane every year. And then when they lose, these mythical excuses come out. Oh, the picture icon's too soft. Do you know what I mean? Oh, the travel time. Oh, we couldn't get tickets at the front. Then you've got football players coming out and going, not the result we wanted. I'm 37 years old, bro. Do you know what I mean? Don't humour me, Nick Newman. Tell me the truth, you fucking shit. That's okay. I can forgive you. But give me something, Voss. We broke even, and I'm really proud of the way we broke even at 2 quarters. But you actually look at the stats. That was like when we accused David Teague of being incompetent, when he said, oh, we broke even with the inside 50s, but all of them were turned over. Same with the centre clearance. Everyone in that third quarter we came back in, right? All but 4, they scored from. So Vossi's stat he's proud of actually cost us the game. And these are the little things, accountability, ownership, these players needed to come out and be like, okay, we lost. And the first sign of redemption in life is admitting you've got a problem. And the problem here is abundant. These boys break like sugar, brittle sugar they do when there's pressure applied. And that is something that Voss has to address. Show up, be the club. And this week is a great opportunity because I have so much respect for what Ross has done with St Kilda. So much respect because they're a different football side. But you know what they have? They have pride and they fucking believe in what they're doing. And they ran a mighty good fucking Collingwood side that is scary to watch. And you know what? They weren't flustered. They believed in themselves. They believed and stuck to the task and knew they would win. Knew they would win if they did it enough.
Yeah, it's also part of the reason why I refuse to let anyone say the word injured or injuries, especially coming up against the Saints this week. They are injured. They are the definition of injured. It's a mentality thing. And I think probably why I lost my cool, no doubt about it. The reason why I probably got a little bit more worked up than usual is because there seemed to be an acceptance of it again. And that just brought me right back to 2019, 2021. Like, oh, we're not going to win today, so let's not bother getting anything out of it. Vossi referred to the fact that we went for it a little bit in the fourth quarter and ended up getting blown out, but...
Did he?
This
is what I mean, man. I'm 37 years old. Like, sometimes football coaches in the UK just tell the truth. They were at the races. Arteta said they were shit. It's okay to say that, because if you say that, you kind of underline it. Do you know what I mean? You underline it sometimes. Sometimes I feel that they are actually damaging these players, right? And, you know, people will say the injuries, and here's my argument about injuries. They're being paid. I couldn't give a shit if they're 18 or 38, right? Either it's not Dow's fault he's shit. It's not Plowman's fault he's shit if he plays a bad game. It's the fucking club for hiring him, right? It's the club for picking them. Because you know what? If Voss rang me up and said, Pom, I'll give you 650 to be our premier inside midfielder, fucking taking it, boys. I'm sorry. Taking 650, that sets my family up for life. Do you know what I mean? I'll lie to Voss and say I can do it, right? The difference is he's picking the team. So these boys have got to be able to do it. And that is my big question, Terry, right? This week against St Kilda, that team is more injury-ravaged than the first day of the Battle of the Somme, mate. If these boys aren't up and about, prepared to go, you know what? Paddy Dow, people saying don't bring him in, fucking bring Dow in, right? And let's take him to one side and say this. Hewitt's dog shit at the moment. He's playing one-handed. He's stealing your fucking job. Go out there, pretend it's a VFL side. Do you know what I mean? You'll see Stocker there. That bastard lived in VFL for us, so it might be an easy little correlation for him. And go out there and take the game on, because opportunities, this might be their last chance for some of them. So I'm all for Dow coming in and saying, mate, just take the game on, buddy. Take the fucking game on. Because at the moment, Hewitt, Wheatering, Cripps, everything is safe. And it's the antichrist of what Voss is demanding. So my question is, if Voss's leaders are doing it, where's A, the respect, but 2, the fucking accountability? The accountability of these players for betraying the game plan.
And that's the confusing part for me. Did they betray the game plan, or is the game plan just not good? Was it just not good? So,
mate, I'd hope after Brownlow's and multiple flags, Voss does not fucking in his heart of hearts believe playing slow, come-at-me football is going to win. I mean, Lee Matthews' game plan is one of the more progressive. It's something that I've studied a lot of because it's an iconic moment. This isn't it. And you can see what we're doing is not that. So my question is why are they scared? What are they scared of? Because these boys are specialists in failure. Cripps could write a book, How to Be Heralded as Really Good Playing for a Shit Side. Be a bestseller, right? What's he scared of? Because he's already failed. But they are on the precipice of something great. And honestly, even though I'm angry because they're letting themselves down. And that hurts. I see the comments, the ridiculous notions, rebuilds failed, 2018 again. All this garbage. And the boys are there. All they've got to do is dare themselves to believe. And so do the fans. All the fans have got to do is, I dare you to believe in them. Because belief is what's separating Adelaide from us at the minute. They believed, they cared, they gave a shit, they loved each other. You saw it. Big bumps, running over, ruffling the hair. Josh Rochelle doing the worst celebration I've ever seen. They cared. Carlton, when we kicked a goal, okay, we kicked a goal. See the energy levels, the difference. We kicked that first goal, Durden broke through. Not one bastard ran to him. Not one like them little things tell me a lot about our fan base and our club. A big, big thing that mentally they don't want to believe. And you know what? That's going to fucking kill them. That is going to kill them.
Yeah. Fair. Well, we have to move on. But also, this will also continue the conversation. I want to talk about the reserves because within the reserves comes potential solutions. And we love talking about solutions here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. So let's talk about the reserves. What happened in the reserves from the standpoint of this could be a solution for the upcoming week?
Where are you going to lose? Lose, Jerry, you're going to lose.
Ignore that St Kilda fan. She won't be here next week. I'll replace her with a different one. Well, I mean, obviously, let's talk about the first guy, right? Mr. Paddy Dow.
Okay.
Right, let's look at what went wrong. So I'm a firm believer if you look at what went wrong, how can someone fix it? Now, usually I am the antichrist of Dow, right? I bought into it, though. Play an identical role to Mr. George Hewitt. Give George Hewitt 2 weeks. Make sure he's right, because back end of the year is more important he's right than these next 2 games coming up. And give Dow the 2 weeks and tell him to do what he did. Now, what happened this week? Shit on the floor. Ground balls were atrocious. Do you know what I mean? The willingness to get your head over the ball. Dow, in fairness, 6 tackles this weekend, chasing his players hard as well, chasing his opposite man hard, got his head over the ball, was willing to get the ball. And you know what as well? Someone who was in a stoppage and actually thought, you know what, instead of pissing about with it, let's have a shot at goal when he got a goal. For me, Dow has earned the game. Now, whether you believe in Dow or not, I don't care, right? He has
He's on
to
the
play.
list, and okay. I get that from a selection integrity point of view. He's on the list. You can only choose those who are on your list in any given season. I guess the question is, do you just ride it out with the midfield 5, knowing you just got them back and they're probably going to be fitter and better for the run together, and you want to get synergy between them, or do you start punishing and rewarding?
If we're a serious football team, the best 22 players every week, and that is by reaching your potential. Hewitt, I don't care what anyone says, even if Hewitt was on this show and told me he was fully fine, total lie. He's not. So give him the job. Rest him for 2 weeks, because you can tell, man, it's obvious.
Yeah.
It's obvious. So do you just keep persisting with it and hope it fixes itself? Or do you say, let's be diligent? Let's be diligent. It's St Kilda. We've got to beat St Kilda if they're in finals in September. That's when we need him. At this time, let's get him right, give him the week off, say, look after your old peg, mate, because we need you.
Yeah. The other one which caused a bit of debate was Kemp. The other one was Cincotta, and the other one was Binns, who we'll talk about separately. But is there a lack of trust from the coaching group for guys like Dow and guys like Kemp? Because Kemp's been playing that. We actually spoke about Kemp last week. We said you can't bring Kemp in because he plays the McGovern role. Why do you think he wasn't selected over Plowman? Do you think Plowman had earned that right and had played better football than Kemp in the VFL?
I don't believe that. I don't know how true this is, but from my understanding, Kemp didn't even fly to Adelaide. He stayed for the reserves.
Correct.
So then there's conflicting reports. Voss kind of alluded that injury was all week in his interview. We know people who were at the gather round sent images of the first training session, which he wasn't taking part of. He was strapped and not playing in, which then begs the question, did they just hope he'd get up? But then this would go to my second point. If that was the case, why the fuck are you risking Mitch McGovern? A guy that has never played a full season since he was at Adelaide. Why would you risk him being 75-25? Why wouldn't it be easy just to say, look, Kemp, you know what? You've had 3 good games, mate. You're learning the role. A little bit easier in seniors because you don't have to also play key defender. You can just stay there in the third and just attack the ball. Give him the week. Like, surely that's it. But Richard nails it. It was a safe selection. It was the enemy you know. And I've got a horrible feeling that sometimes even Voss, the great Michael Voss, the scariest midfielder of the 90s, even he's scared a little bit of losing, which worries me a little bit because that's not the Michael Voss that won Brownlows. That's not the Michael Voss that won flags. Shouldn't be scared of losing.
Yeah. So that quartet of Dow, Kemp, Cincotta, and Binns, are they the only ones right now that you'd say are at least making a stake in a claim for selection?
I can't give too much away because the new show's tomorrow, but in my opinion, I would rest Sard.
Yep.
Cincotta comes in, Plowman out, Kemp in, Ed Kerno out, Dow in, and that would be dependent on where Hewitt is at the moment, but I think Binns in for Hewitt and play Dow. I want 80% on the ball. I want none of this Michael Voss 45%, 60% game time. Give him 2 games and say, you know what? Off you go, mate. Off you go.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait. Because the most important thing right now is the response. That's clear. And
there needs
to
to be an attitude statement as well, because I know people won't agree with this, but Harry Mackay, 2 games this year, last week, open goal against North Melbourne, and you could forgive him. He was trying to kick a worldie, give the crowd something to care about, but totally fucked it up. And then against Adelaide, Carlton, that would have really helped out that goal. That was a game-changing goal. That was show pony stuff, man. Statements like that need to be ironed out of this. That's not thinking about the team. That's thinking about yourself. That was Harry Mackay in that moment going, I'll be in the papers tomorrow, right? Where it should be, make sure show. 6 points. How many times last year did Kerno and Harry do something fucking stupid instead of kicking the goal? And that needs to be ironed out, because when do you see Collingwood do that? When do you see, Collingwood, I was watching that. Jamie Elliott was in horrible form. They were behind. Jamie Elliott gets a kick in front of goal, takes the full 30, bangs it through. No show pony stuff. Make fucking sure. That needs to be really drilled into these boys.
Yeah. No. The level in which we are proactive this week is priority number one for me. I want to see them stamp their authority on a side. I don't care. And I'm not disrespecting St Kilda, but I know we can do it against St Kilda. I don't care. I'm not discounting how well they're coached. I'm not discounting how well they've played and how hard they play. I do have belief in our group, but I also still hear the same things over and over again. We're now starting to see a lot of these boys enter game 100. Fisher just had his 100th. Jack Silvani played his 100th. How many years ago did we say, just wait until these boys have played 80 to 100 games and they're in the sweet spot?
Once a week together, Terry, if we're
Mate,
honest.
the line in the sand has to be drawn at some point. Like, what happened in round 5 can never happen again for the rest of this group's existence, especially this season. I can understand you have one game a year where it's just absolutely terrible. I don't have faith that it's not going to happen again. That's probably where my reaction was probably more out of fear of, oh my God, we're receding. We're going backwards again. That's where my fear came from this week.
And that's understandable.
That has to be embraced. That has to be embraced.
Mate, fear is only a bad thing if you react on it. Do you know what I mean? Fear is like any negative emotion. It's not meant to be reacted on. It's just your brain making something stupid up. It's called doubt. Yeah. Things like that. Do you know what I mean? Nothing negative you think is real. You think it. Do you know what I mean? If you're under pressure or you're not under pressure, the only thing that changes is how your brain reacts to it. Do you know what I mean? But if you look at it, see it as a challenge, see it as something to relish. St Kilda relish that challenge. And you know what? I know what I'm going to hear. St Kilda are a bogey team.
Bogey side.
Jack Steele always beats Cripps. Well, how about this, Patrick Cripps? It's 2020-3. Jack Steele has done fuck all with his career apart from have a double E in it, right? You are a Brownlow fucking medalist. You tell him who's the fucking daddy. You show him who's the fucking AFL. It's you, Patrick. You've got relevance. Jack Steele's just the best player at St Kilda. You're the best player in the fucking league, right? So that's the mindset that needs to change. I don't care St Kilda have beaten us every time. I don't care Ross the boss. Couldn't give a fuck about the odious wanker. Go out there and win. How's that? Go out there. St Kilda are top of the ladder. They won't be fucking when final siren comes. How's that? That's the mindset they need to go in. I'm tired of hearing this side does this, that side does that. Carlton don't do this. Carlton don't do that. Newsflash world, Carlton have done fuck all since 1995. Newsflash. We're shit. We're Gold Coast in Melbourne. That is our success rate. Okay, so stop looking at that and let's start changing, because I'm fucking sick of losing. Sick of being the laughing stock. Sick of dickhead sports bet doing memes about Carlton. It's boring. It's boring. So why can't it be us, eh? Why can't it be us? Why can't we believe in them? What's wrong about me paying my membership and believing in this 22 little fucking pseudo-Italian Australian juggernauts of men leading us back to the promised land? What is wrong with that? And why can't they do it?
Agreed. They better come out this week and fucking take it to St Kilda, man. They better do it.
They better do. Otherwise, I'm fucking driving down to Wyke on Monday morning.
All right. You've kind of given us your team selection. Those of you playing along at home, give us your team selection. So not just the outs, but the ins to replace the outs. That's important. So we haven't got an injury update yet. I actually got caught backing what the club did with Mitch McGovern over the weekend. Then I saw the video of him with the bandaged calf the day before the game, and I thought, oh my God. And I can understand whether I agree with it or not is a different story. I can understand this notion of, we don't want to give out too much information to the opposition, because if they're spending a little bit of time preparing for Mitch McGovern, for example, and then they don't, he doesn't play, then it's a win for us. I don't know. I think if you're trying to play games midweek with selection and the opposition and what they might think and what they might prepare for, I don't know. Have you already lost the battle before it's begun because you're trying to win a little battle? That's what I'm curious about. But what have we got? Who's given us ins and outs? Ins and outs. Not
They
just
all are.
out.
They're doing. So some of them are doing really well here. They've actually
Where are
followed.
we?
Some of you could play for Carlton because you followed the mandate. You know what I mean? You followed the mandate.
All right, Gab. Out, Plowman, Hewitt, Kerno, Sard. In, Chincotta, Dow, Binns, Kemp. Fair.
I like it.
Fair.
I hate Terry will hate me, but I reckon Fish needs a spell.
Fair enough, but I would drop Honey before Fish. I agree with you.
Shit, I forgot about him.
Mate,
I forgot about that clown.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Don't make me go there.
I forgot about him because I slated him in the review. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
I'd be really bad as a coach. I'd be like, who are you?
I guess I don't know if this is a silver lining. There are a lot of them that lowered their colors and disrespected themselves and the fans and the club with their performances. So there's a lot of them who have to respond based off their performances, and a lot of them who did that are leaders of the club. Wiedering, Young, Harry, Charlie, Cripps, like it's all of them. All of them must respond, and I'm sure they will. But it's really important to have a strong showing this week.
I want 22 men out there, and honestly, ins and outs, I couldn't give a fuck.
True.
I want 22. I want 22 people who were just shown the most hunger this week, the most remorse, the most. And you know what? Dow, Chincotta, Ken, they stood out for me this weekend because they cared. That you could see that they'd watched that game and gone, you know what? Fuck it, I'm putting my hand up.
Mm.
Like I would class O'Brien in that, but O'Brien played the Akers role. So that was the club telling me, no chance is what you got. To be honest, because there's no way you're dropping Akers for O'Brien, not in a month of Sundays.
No way. I don't think Akers was worthy of being dropped. So then my next question comes: what's our depth really like? Because we're now in a situation where we're talking about you've got to make a statement at selection, so you've got to bring some players in. Of those that are, and I understand, like, we don't care about selection. Anyone that comes in and represents the Guernsey, they play in the same in the manner in which we want them to. But what's our depth really like?
Well, I mean, how bad is your depth? We finished 9th with the second deepest injury list behind Eagles.
Right.
I would say that that's a pretty good argument that it's not shit. It's not great, though. It's not top 4 material. But then again, I'd also say, do you know? Because the problem is Voss doesn't seem to pick players to replace players. He seems to pick concepts. So Kennedy and Hewitt, he brings in a small or something like that. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't bring in Dow like for like, and he shifts the place. Other clubs bring in a small forward for a forward. The Honey idea is probably the only time Voss has got it right. Small forward is injured, bring a small forward in.
Small forward in. Yeah. Sardi not coming up is going to be an interesting one. Having said that, I'm pretty excited to see Chincotta get a chance, because I feel like he will come with that right mentality.
I think Chincotta, any man who does an interview says that he can't wait to go out to battle and be in the front line with these boys. You'd be in my first team saying shit like that, mate. But to answer Hyde's question, this is a good point. There is another school of thought. Hyde nails this. If that is the only change, that says Voss is backing these men in to go again, which in itself, I don't like it, but it has its own empowerment.
Correct. Yeah. I am a big believer in in continuity for the group. And I believe we need it. I understand selection integrity, but literally 2 weeks ago, we literally sat here on this show, Pommy, and we said, I don't want to hear anyone say Dowie in for the rest of the season.
And then Pom did.
And now we want to put a Band-Aid with the Dow fix on, and then in 3 weeks' time, when he has a poor game, everyone jumps on him. And that's where I get the merit of rewarding good form in the VFL, but there's probably a reason why Hewitt has stayed in the side and he hasn't put Dow in already, right?
I understand. I think your point is very spot on, but I'd also say if, let's just say, heaven forbid, Hewitt goes into a tackle and fucks it up beyond recognition, is out for 18 weeks, suddenly you're playing Dow for 18 weeks. So to use Dimmer's point, is it better to take your medicine now than a long course of medicine in 12 weeks? You've got to look at it that way, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? Where to me, honestly, I'm usually against Dow. His VFL game this week, his defensive running this season has been incredible. I'm going to have to stick up for him. Have to stick up for him. It's been incredible. That's the big question mark. His usage by foot, always iffy, but so is Hewitt. Hewitt doesn't kick it. So get him in there playing that 1-2. I don't mind it for 2 weeks and get Hewitt perfect. Worst case scenario, he's rubbish. Hewitt comes back in. But why are we risking players? Same with Sard. Sard's not 100%. He is X factor. So you've got to go on the side of caution, not play it.
But weren't we saying last week, we'll be saying it all year, give the keys to Jack Carroll in the VFL? So why does that not apply now? Why wouldn't we bring in Carroll instead of Dow, potentially? This is if we're going to be letting Hewitt have a rest.
He's not playing purely on the ball. And Hewitt lives on the ball, so you'd have to change it up somewhere else. Where's that rotation coming from? I don't think Walsh purely on the ball is a good idea. You want him out as well, and you saw that against Adelaide. Our best moments were when he wasn't inside, when he was a couple of spaces out and a couple of possessions out, so he could be free. So the less you can rely on him being 100% on the ball, the better. So Carroll's got an argument, but then where do you slot him? You could play him across high half forward where he plays in the VFL. He's probably the swap for Fish if you want to do it. But the problem is Carroll hasn't exactly broken the world of light at VFL level. He's just been steady. To be fair to Dow, do you know what I mean? He has definitely worked hard on his craft. Do I think he's the answer? No. Do I really care? No, because Hewitt, if he gets injured at the end of the year, I'll fucking go through the roof if Voss played Hewitt and he re-aggravates his hand.
Fair. It's line ball, isn't it?
Last year, don't you remember? We kept playing players 75%, and then we were playing me against Melbourne and Richard and Pies, man, and we missed finals.
Yeah. Well, coming up this evening and for the rest of the week, we're back to regular programming. Straight after this, 8:15 p.m., the Almost Blues Brothers will be live. They have a special guest. I don't know who it is, but I'm told it's a very special guest. So that'll be right after this show. And then tomorrow, the Jumper Punch will be live, 7 p.m. Now, I actually, Rocco asked me to go on the couch, and I actually turned them down. I was so done talking about this game. I'm kind of still done with it, but Pommy, you've kind of cheered me up a little bit. I'm kind of over it now, which is great.
Mate, I agree with you. Mate, I love you. I love you, Tez. I hate seeing you like this. I get more angry the football club has made you feel like this, to be honest, than I do. I mean, I can cop. I can, like Gavin says, it's one loss, and we lost 18 straight. That's what I'm trying to put across tonight. Bit of perspective. They fucked up once. If they fuck up to next week and the week after, okay, let's start battering down the hatches. I will be the first with a pitchfork. But let's get objective. How can they fix it?
Yeah. If we can lose by 10 goals, we can win game by 10 goals. If they're willing to go that deep into a loss, they have the ability to go that deep into a win and reach that far for a win. Let's
just say Carlton win by 10 goals this week.
All is forgiven.
Is everyone going to be like, oh, fuck, wheels are off, sack Voss?
Well, no, but show me a 10-goal win.
Let's go and get it then.
Show me a 10-goal win, and I will say all is forgiven. No
Let's
problem.
go and get it. Let's go and
Not
take
a
it.
problem. Not a problem at all. Not a problem
Let's
at
take
all.
it.
I refuse to buy into this St Kilda voodoo team garbage. Danger game. Every game is a danger game. Every game can be lost. There is no such thing as, this specific game is a danger game. They're all danger games.
Elite level sport. Bit like
Yeah.
elite level boxing. All you've got to
Yeah.
do is be hit by a punch.
Well, a lot of the preseason was also based off the fact that a lot of the wrap up from last year was around creating our own narrative. So go and fucking do that. Go and create your own narrative and stop playing in the same narrative that we've seen for the last 5 to 8 years with this group. Like literally, go and create a new narrative.
Ironic, Voss said, create your own narrative, and played St Kilda and acted like every time we go to Adelaide, a little bit scared, a little bit fearful.
Yeah.
And this is another week, isn't it? It's perfect, isn't it? Ross versus Voss. Do you know what I mean? Marvel Stadium, Steel versus Crips, Membry back. Oh, it's
Membry
a narrative.
back for his 4 goals. Oh,
Mate,
God.
it's the narrative. Carlton will shit themselves.
It's sickening.
So let's see. Change the fucking narrative.
All right. So tomorrow night, 7 p.m, the Jumper Punch. Here is your preview.
Hi, guys. I'm Alex Marcoux. Hang on. What did you say then?
Just a triple premiership player for Carlton. If you thought...
Hi, guys. Alex Marcoux, premiership player. If you thought I was fabulous, you got to watch the Jumper Punch, 7 p.m, every Tuesday night. They are absolutely fabulous.
Well done. That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Bravo.
That's that tomorrow. Pommy, you have a new show tomorrow as well. What's that about? 6 p.m.
Oh boy. I have formulated a dream team. I have got myself. I have the very wonderful Paolo. I have Lake Dog. And I have Ian Brownie, the rock star in the group. And we have based this on the model of how selection committees pick their team. You are going to see a live debate, and the chat is the coach, the man who the person, because we have girls in there as well, who has the final say. So we're going to try and tell you our 22 plus our extended bench, and you're going to tell us who you want out of them. And hopefully you can see an hour debate without anyone using any swear words or nastiness about each other, but you never know.
So that's 6 p.m. on the Pommy and Oz YouTube channel.
It is indeed. You'll get to see it. You got a good cast there, good looking cast. Someone actually mentioned in the preview that me and Ian and Lake Dog and Paolo look like evolutions of Pokemon of each other. And I can't unsee it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. So that's 6 p.m. tomorrow, followed by the Jumper Punch at 7 on Wednesday. The Rest and the Besties launch on Friday, the teams, right? Because it's a Sunday game.
It is. You'll get me and Lake Dog. So hopefully we'll be all right.
All right. So Friday teams show. I think that's a 5 p.m. start for a Sunday team show, and then we're on. Then we're on 3:20
Trying
p.m.
to get Mrs. Pom on the watch along. I'm trying, so you could see a domestic live. I can't promise anything. She's a bit camera shy, but she may pop in and abuse me through the window.
I'm sure she'll have a few choice words for you if Carlton win. You won't be. You'll be sleeping on the couch if Carlton win.
She wasn't happy She wasn't happy the last time we beat them, so that was a while ago now. But I can't wait.
Yeah. Looking forward to moving on. Looking forward to actually writing the fucking narrative about this club and not acting on the former narrative. Looking forward to a really locked in and focused group, and looking forward for them to lift. It's time. Enough. Halas. Don't fall back into the old narrative. Keep rewriting the new narrative, because I'm already starting to see We've regressed from the bye. We're going backwards. I'm already starting to see that narrative.
Conscientious objector mentality. Do you know what I mean? It's fear. Self-preservation is the most dangerous habit of human being.
Dangerous. Yeah.
Sometimes it's better just to cop it on the chin and say we're dog shit. I would say this. I'd leave you with my Pom's final thought. How Terry feels now, how I feel, I'm handling it a bit differently. I've got my smiley face and stuff. But how you feel now, imagine being a player and knowing that you've got it in your hands. You can stop this feeling because you can go out there and win. Imagine how good that is. Imagine how good having that power is when you go and play St Kilda, feeling this low, feeling tragic. And there's two ways for them to fix it. They either complain and say, we're shit, we've regressed, give up, lose by 80. Or they're like, you know what, I don't want to fucking feel like this anymore. I want to win.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Take control. Take control. Been living in this world too long and seen nothing. Like, it's time to turn it around.
Mate, just think of that story I told you about my pop. One minute you feel like Dunkirk. Next minute you've stormed Silver Juno Beach and you're wearing some Nazi general's hat as a fucking banter in Munich drinking beer when you've won. I mean, you can turn it round. You control your destiny, not the other way around.
It's true. Pommy, you've brought me back to life. Thank you. I was lifeless. I was not feeling well before this. I feel a lot better already. Thank you.
Mate, we're in it together. Hey, in it for a long time, not a good time. That's what that should be the channel's motto.
We're only here for a long time. Nah. I'm not watching another capitulation and continuing to do this to myself. It's not happening. It's not happening.
You care, and that's a good thing, though.
Yes, of course, we care. All right, ladies and gents, hang around. The Almost Blues Brothers will be starting shortly. Have a great night. See you for the preview, and see you throughout the week. Pommy, love ya. Go Blues.
Go Blues.